Sure. Sure. Our subject matter expert on this is Mr. Charles Lutz, is retired DEA Special Agent, and he was in the executive capacity before he retired. And he did the yeoman's work of writing up this resolution. I'll turn it over my time to Mr. Lutz. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug, and ladies and gentlemen. The Compassionate Care Act is not about medicine. It is a pathway to its recreational use. It was a strategy developed by George Soros and his Drug Policy Alliance to ultimately legalize all drugs, starting with medical marijuana through recreational, and it's actually working. 38 states have already legalized medical marijuana. The majority of the 38 have already moved on to recreational marijuana, and even some of those states have moved on to decriminalizing drugs like heroin, fentanyl, and the like. The Compassionate Care Act claims that it can treat a variety of illnesses, but not one respected national medical association agrees. For example, the American Cancer Society says more research is needed. Yes, there are drugs derived from cannabis. For example, there's a drug that reduces nausea and increases appetite for chemotherapy patients, but it's available by prescription. We don't need new legislation. The National Multiple Sclerosis Society says there is insufficient data to recommend marijuana to MS victims. The American Medical Association and the Veterans Administration agree that marijuana not only does no good for post-traumatic stress disorder, but can actually cause the sufferers more harm. While preliminary studies show that CBD oil may actually help certain autism spectrums, CBD oil can be purchased without prescription in South Carolina. We don't need new legislation for that. And there is no evidence that marijuana treats pain, for which a majority of medical marijuana card holders seek to have the use of marijuana. In clinical trials at Harvard Medical School, placebos work just as well as marijuana. You know, when California legalized medical marijuana, the first state to do so, the typical card holder was a white male, 35 years of age, with no history of serious illnesses, but a history of drug and or alcohol abuse. I think we can expect the same results here in South Carolina. Now, the latest version of the Compassionate Care Act actually bans smoking it, but law enforcement will be the first to tell you that once a user receives his marijuana, there is no way possible to keep them from smoking it. Instead, the law would allow the marijuana to be vaped. The American Lung Association says vaping anything is harmful to the lungs. Vaping CBD oil is already a fad among young people. And there have been many promises broken. States have not realized the tax revenue windfalls, often not enough to regulate the industry. Organized crime has not gone away. In fact, there's been such an increase in demand that it's created a windfall for them. They can sell it cheaper. They don't pay taxes. In Michigan, for example, the medical marijuana dispensary owners, actually the marijuana dispensary owners, complain that the majority of marijuana is being sold in the back alleys. Well, no wonder. An eighth of an ounce of marijuana at a dispensary costs $80. You can buy an eighth of an ounce of marijuana on the street for $20. Even China has gotten into the act. Illegal immigrants have been arrested at hundreds of marijuana grows in California, Oklahoma, and Washington with ties back to China. And guess what? In China, marijuana is illegal. They are no fools. When Colorado legalized medical marijuana, crime increased 7 times the national average. Marijuana-related automobile accidents doubled. Absenteeism and shoddy workmanship rose. But the real harm was done to their children. In Colorado, its use among youth increased to twice the national average. School suspensions and dropout rates increased. Studies show that marijuana, whether the smoke from marijuana, whether from smoking it or vaping it, even secondhand smoke, lessens cognitive ability and permanently lowers the IQs of adolescents. Other studies attribute the recent rise in schizophrenia, psychoses, and suicide to marijuana use by young people, particularly young women. I say let's learn from others' mistakes. Let's not allow South Carolina to start down the road to a drug culture, a stupefying of our citizens, and a dumbing down of our youth. Please pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.